Hi, Dave.
Hey, KT, how are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm all right. Can you hear me good? Do I need to turn it up, down? What can I do to
I
make
can hear you good. No, it's all good. I am in my apartment in London and very, very excited to swap it for Hawaii.
First and foremost, welcome and thank you for doing this.
My absolute pleasure. It's so great to talk to you.
And have you ever played in or been to the state of Hawaii?
Neither.
Wow.
And I am such a voracious traveler and lover of nature, and I cannot believe I've got this far in life and haven't been to Hawaii yet. So this is a big deal.
And so when you come, are you planning on spending, from the way you're describing it, or are you going to spend some extra time just taking in the nature, as you put it?
I am going to basically spend every spare minute I have trying to take in as much as possible. I don't have a huge amount of time, but I also know that for sure this will not be the last time I visit. So this is the taster, the starter.
And you're coming all the way from London now. Is that just for these shows, or you've got a whole tour? Forgive me for not looking to see.
No, it's fine. I'll actually be coming to you from LA. Obviously, we're in very uncertain times at the moment, so we're kind of a day by day checking to see what's going on and, you know, making sure that it's all safe for us to get together and listen to music. And so far, it's all looking good for Hawaii. But I'm going to be in LA from the beginning of next week and then coming over to you from there.
Yeah, I guess I was going to wrap up with it, but since you mentioned it, I guess we'll do it now, and then we'll get into more of your life. But I mean, the facts are, I guess,
it's get it out of the way.
Yeah, it's funny that you just because we interview a lot of artists who come through town, done that for a long time, and I got to say, just about and Hawaii is a little different for a variety of reasons, obvious, you can probably imagine some of them, but then there are more maybe underlying ones that people may not figure in about. People maybe here are a little more hesitant to put off events, and there's more of an economic incentive to keep things moving, and the point, I guess, the question I'm getting to is, after so many events are canceled, so many tours, and people literally don't even want to stand on the street corner next to somebody else, are you thinking that a week from now, these things are really going to go on? Or, I mean, because I just keep wondering to myself, when am I going to get the email from the Blue Note that they're just pulling the plug on everything?
You know, it's possible. We don't know what's going on. It's like we have to follow the advice, not only for ourselves but as a species,
right?
To do whatever we can to kind of safeguard, particularly the more vulnerable members of society. And so basically, I've just come from Europe, so I was just on a 3-week tour with Jules Holland.
Yikes.
Over in Europe, and they're taking it really seriously. They've got some difficult numbers that they've been facing. And one of the things that they did almost straight away was they limited gatherings to 100 people.
Right.
And that meant that also meant that in these venues, people do not have to sit right next to each other. The upside of that is that you have your own
table
circumference dance floor
right.
that you can use with no impedance. People were very aware, people were very respectful, and it was really enjoyable. It was really great for everyone to let off steam a little bit, and we were able to play the music and just, being super sensitive and sensible, washing our hands, making sure we're not doing anything stupid. If someone doesn't feel well, then for sure stay at home. But I think that these kind of precautions, I feel like are really sensible.
The venue that you're going to be at, though, is not set up like that. It's tables. It's like people sitting really, really close together in tables. So I've been wondering. I mean, who knows what they're going to do? It's just hard to imagine.
An important point to make about the Blue Note shows is that they're not huge shows.
Right.
They're it's not as risky when it's less people.
Right.
So yes, we just have to wait and see, but. It's a really, really, really tough time for musicians and crew and promoters and booking agents. This is none of us have experienced anything like it.
Have you canceled any shows yet?
Yeah, there's been a few cancellations and more of the kind of really big arena stuff for these and some of some of the big festivals are having to question whether they're going to go ahead. And but it's so strange because we've seen our whole careers, we have this thing called force majeure in our contracts, and you just never ever thought that was gonna kick in, and here it is.
Explain that.
So force majeure basically means an act of God. So it's a natural, completely out with anyone's control event.
Right.
So if there's extremely adverse weather or something like this that happens, it means that basically the contract gets ripped up.
I get it.
And basically no one gets paid, which is really it's really very, very tricky situation for a lot of people, and obviously not just in our industry. But as I said, I think we just take it day by day, and we see what's happening, and we listen to the people who really know what they're talking about, and we take good advice.
That's about all you can do, because from the way it looks here, our country is just at the tip of the iceberg. I mean, I can't imagine a month from now any events happening anywhere, but we'll just have to see, because it's just been I mean, because honestly, if they told me, hey, we've got the original Sabbath reuniting at the Blue Note, you want to come down and do an interview? I'd go, not right now, maybe. I think I'll pass. maybe we can just do that on the phone. But
I think this is going to change how we live, really.
Yeah, it's going to be something else. It really is.
So my personal silver lining is that it's a very, very good lesson for us that we cannot live as islands. We are a connected people. The world is not that small, is not that big anymore. And so if anything, at least teaching us that we do need to care for one another, regardless of where we live or where we're from.
Yeah, no, there are many, many, many lessons. I mean, we do a lot with wildlife and poaching and the different animals that are facing extinction due to the Asia Pacific. And before the crisis got so out of hand, we were looking at the fact that this started with illegal wildlife that had been poached, possibly the world's most vulnerable animal, the pangolin, which is a tiny scaled mammal.
One of my favorite animals.
Absolutely, one of mine too, and one of the innocent. And that's great you say that. The pangolin is one of your favorite animals?
I love them. Yes, I remember the first time I saw a picture of a pangolin. I had never even heard the word, and it was love at first sight.
They are absolutely precious. I almost wore my Save Vietnam's Wildlife Pangolin shirt today, but I didn't. But no, that's cool.
I should get one of those too.
Yeah, I encourage you. Save Vietnam's Wildlife. You go to their Facebook page, you can get one online. They're great nonprofit. And that's cool that you have that. Well, anyway, so it was like, it's funny that you mentioned that, because there are lots of other things that we need to care about, the critters and stuff. And obviously music's been a passion for you. You know what's neat is sometimes talking to people, you discover there's like this line that, and it doesn't mean it's not the only ingredient for a successful musician, but there are a lot of folks like you, when you read their bio and you start to realize, wow, for example, and you'll tell the story, at 4 years old, it says you start to play the piano, then you go to other instruments. But that says a lot about the environment you must have been in, nurturing parents or other critical people. Kind of share the story, what you can remember and what others have told you of how something like that happened, which has obviously played a great positive role in your life. Yeah,
well, I think, growing up in the environment and having supportive parents as a creative kid is the first thing. And I was adopted when I was 18 days old. And I think that because of that, my parents were extra sensitive to, picking up whether I was displaying talent or passion for things that perhaps they didn't have themselves. I think adoptive parents are always going to maybe keep their eyes open a little more for, what's this kid got, like, innately that maybe we haven't, that they're good at. And because my dad was a physicist, and I'll tell you this for free, I was not good at maths. So I was not good at maths and physics. And so, but my mom kept like little pieces of paper from when I was 1 or 2, and I was actually trying to draw musical notes, before I was writing words.
Wow.
I was always drawn always drawn to musical instruments. I mean, it's just completely built into my DNA to want to play instruments. And so I went to them at 4 because my teacher at kindergarten was playing piano, and I was like, oh my God, this machine, it's unbelievable, what is it? And I went home and I was like, Mom, Dad, I want a piano. And they're like, can you not go for like the recorder or the ukulele? And I'm like, no, I want a piano. So it was really, I'm kind of an obsession really from a very, very young age. I didn't ever really love the lessons. And actually, I never had any guitar lessons or vocal lessons. And I don't say that just to brag. It's more that, that it was a passion for playing. I actually didn't really like particularly being told how to do it.
How did you, I mean, that's a funny, I love that about when you're a little kid, I guess it does seem like a big machine, the piano, especially if you get a look inside how it all operates. It must have been
like a spaceship.
Right.
Awesome.
That's cool. I'd never thought about it in those terms, and you're absolutely right. Because when I was a little kid, my parents had one too, and I used to think similar. Yeah. So, and I'm adopted too, by the way. So I have
Oh, you are? That's, wow. Amazing! What a coincidence!
Yeah, so I liked that about your story, and especially
it's certainly an adventure.
Yeah, well, it can be, yours is different because you have more of a connection to them. I don't know anything about my biological parents, but I do think that I love the way that you had that nurturing thing which built this into something. And you mentioned not taking lessons with the singing and the guitar, which you're much more known for, but the singing. Taking a look at that and backing up away from you're so successful at it and you've done it and you have the confidence, I guess, is a huge part in all of this. When did you first get the, because I couldn't see anything in your, when I was reading about you, like how did you first discover that you could sing, that you liked singing? Was it also getting recognition for it?
So I joined a really great little, very organic theater group when I was 8 years old. And I was definitely a performer. I liked doing tap dancing, and I liked, doing plays and theater at school. And there was this really amazing little Saturday morning kids theater group run by this awesome couple called Carol and Alan Tricker. They were local. They had a local musician who was writing original material for us. And I could definitely hold a tune. I would absolutely not say that I was a kind of child prodigy singer, but I could hold a tune, and so I was often put in a lead role, I guess because, my acting chops were pretty good, and as a performer I was good. But I remember trying out for the choir at school, and it was a musical performance of like Gilbert and Sullivan, HMS Pinafore or something, and I was put at the back. I was definitely not like lead role material, and the reason being, I just didn't sing like that. I didn't have that theater voice, and I was yet to find my own style of singing voice, which really started at 15 when I picked up the guitar. So I was relatively late to learning guitar, but I started writing songs on piano, but they were super cheesy. And I never really got to grips as a piano player. I never really mastered the piano. And so I was still kind of sticking a little bit, trying to write songs. And as soon as I picked up the guitar, I was like, this is my instrument for writing songs. My first love was acting, really.
I just like that, though, Hal, because that's sort of what I was alluding to. You don't have to have started your instrument at a really young age to end up having it make a big part of your life. Because when you just said what you did, I thought of Phil Collin from Def Leppard and how he didn't even get on the guitar till he was a teenager of any instrument. And then look what happened.
I didn't write songs or play. And, Paul McCartney, I believe, doesn't read music.
Right, yeah. Everybody has a different level of...
Definitely. That very, very strict classical training can actually be detrimental when it comes to being original and trying to kind of... Not always. I'm not saying that that's always the case, but it can be. If you're used to being told how to do it, it's sometimes difficult to break out of that.
And it just sounds like the piano is it introduces you to music in general, and then from there you find what you really love. Yeah. So it played a really important role regardless.
I always think of the piano as the mothership, It's kind of, it's the kind of nucleus. And if you learn if you do learn the kind of rudimental stuff and musical theory based around piano, it's a great nucleus for everything else you do.
And you were able to do some, it looks like, if I read this right, and forgive me if any of this information is wrong, but it looks like you had some early on development critical experiences in the United States, including Burlington, Vermont.
Yeah, so I did my senior year of high school. I won a scholarship over to an American school in Connecticut. And my roommate, you're just put with someone, and I'm 17, and she was from Burlington, Vermont. She said, there's a guy living in the woods up there, and I think you're going to fall in love with him. And lo and behold, that happened. And so I ended up spending quite a bit of time up in Vermont and in Burlington. And Burlington, to this day, remains the best place to play on the street. It's awesome.
Right, yeah, busking on the street there. And did you ever go down and do Harvard Square in Boston, which wasn't all that far away?
Yeah, for sure. I actually just played the theater there. What's it called? It begins with M.
In Harvard Square?
Yeah.
I can't remember now. I haven't lived there since 2002.
Yeah.
But they have a lot of street buskers too, though. Right by the T station, there's a lot of people. Or they used to have a lot of people playing.
Also, I'm very. Amanda Palmer is a very dear friend of mine, and she was busking in Harvard Square for years.
Yeah, so you know what I mean.
But she was actually a statue.
Right.
She was. Yeah.
Yeah, they had a lot of performers. Yeah, they had the music, they had the statues, they have different magic shows.
Yeah.
It was man, you're bringing me back. Those are some fantastic memories.
Is that where you're from?
I went to school there for 12 years, so it's just, and you can't, like the way you talked about Burlington, which is a very magical, unusual city. That area in Boston or in Cambridge at Harvard Square is just a very, or at least it was. Yeah, it's special, it's unique, the busking, the atmosphere, there's an energy. Yeah. I don't know how to, it's hard to put it into words. I'm not doing it justice. But before we wrap it up, one other interesting thing that you have a lot of interesting things.
I just remembered. It's called the Sinclair in Cambridge.
The Sinclair.
The Sinclair was where I just played back in May.
God, I don't even know if that was there when when I was going there.
I just asked you, what took you to school for 12 years?
I went to school for 4 years. I went to Emerson for radio, and after 4 years, couldn't figure out what to do, and stayed. I was interning at a station, so I started doing my master's there, and then what happened was I got hired at a commercial station, and I just gave up on my master's. I really wish I hadn't done that, looking back, and then I just worked there. Yeah. So I went to school for 5 years there, and then worked for another 7. So I was there for 12, and then been here for 17 years. But I just have a very...
An investment to get into radio, kid.
Oh, man. But I regret not... a lot of things with what can you do? I mean, getting a master's is a really important thing to do and gives you more options later in life. But in any event, you have some great history that is just, I connected with several of those different things. And then one final quick question, if you have time for it, which, and again, you have a lot of things in your life which are fascinating, but, and I hope I don't have this wrong, but you developed a passion for soundtrack composing and actually studied that at Skywalker Ranch, it says?
Yeah, I did. So I basically had my kind of walk into the wilderness in 2012. My father passed away. His passing was this incredible moment of clarity for me where I realized I kind of achieved all this, these impossible dreams, but I was actually miserable. And clearly it became clear to me, married to the wrong person. And so everything just completely imploded in a very short space of time. And I sold everything I owned and I moved to Venice Beach, California.
Wow.
And I had to think super long and hard about what was going on, because the really overriding feeling was, if I was not a musician, if someone took away my guitar, if someone took away my notoriety, I really do not feel like I know who I am anymore. And I knew that was not good. And that was not going to lead to a better place. That was going to lead to a darker place. And so I needed to really unplug and do something else. And I didn't feel kind of excited to make a record. And so I applied to be a fellow on the Sundance Film Institute Film Composers Lab. And much to my amazement, I was chosen as one of the 6 fellows for that year. And actually, the guys, you end up working with the director, so you have a couple of weeks, but the last week you work with the director. And I actually worked with Dan Kwan, who was one of the directors of Swiss Army Man, if you remember that movie with Paul Dano and Daniel Radcliffe. It's a super weird, out there, surreal movie that ended up getting made, but that was actually the film that we were working on.
Wow.
And it was probably the steepest learning curve of my adult life. It was extremely challenging and daunting and thrilling. But, you know, our tutors were Alan Silvestri, who, if you don't know him, he wrote the music for Back to the Future. I don't need to say anything else after that. James Newton Howard, who, I mean, his CD is unbelievable. And Harry Gregson Williams again. I mean, these are just the greats from Hollywood. And I was, you know, you're staying in this incredible kind of George Lucas's utopia sound world up in Northern California. And I wake up one morning and you're having breakfast. It's kind of a communal space, putting my bowl into the sink, and this kind of gruff Spanish voice behind me goes, "What do we do with our bowls when we are finished our breakfast?" And I said, "I don't know. I think you just put them in the sink and the brownies come and take them away magically." And I turn around and it's Guillermo del Toro.
Wow.
And he's up there recording the score for his movie. And so it was a really phenomenal experience. And I've done a couple of short film scores and one feature which hasn't come out yet, but it really actually has also led to me being really interested in short film scripts. And so I've written a couple of short film scripts of late, which I'm excited about, and would love to go on and make them.
Well, you have a lot to offer the world, and it's
thank you.
It's impressive, and you have a lot of positive things you're looking to do, and I'm really hoping that things for all of us can settle down so that people can do more positive, artful, and relaxing kinds of things.
As I get older too, first when I started doing this, it was definitely just to receive all the love and and praise. And now it's definitely more about giving it and really relishing the opportunity to kind of provide something positive into the world. And so I really hope we get to share that in the coming days. Let's keep our fingers crossed and our hands washed.
Right. Listen to you. That's a great note to leave it on. I would say I'd give you a big hug and a high five. That's how I used to end my interviews. Hey, giving you a big hug and a high five. And now I'm thinking, well, maybe not.
Man. We'll just bump elbows. It's really funny because the elbow bump actually feels super friendly. I really like it.
I like that. I like the Indian, kind of like or Asian thing, kind of just bowing a little bit with your hands clasped in front of you, which is even...
good. Yeah, the hands clasped is going, I'm not touching you. Hello.
Yeah, exactly. like you're okay with me, but I don't know where your elbow's been, lady, kind of thing. But anyway, I'm hoping... But
anyway, yes, lots of love to everyone out there, and good luck and keep safe.
Oh, really?
Hi, this is Katie Tunstall, and you're listening to my friend Dave Lawrence.
Fantastic. I appreciate it. Hopefully the shows work out, and
awesome. Yes, and will I see you if it all goes ahead?
I would like to. I mean, you sound really cool. I dig talking to you. You sound super, super cool. Yeah. I'm just scared out of my mind right now.
Way at the back. Yeah. Stand way at the back in a beekeeper's outfit. Right. It'll be great.
Listen, I'll get my hazmat suit. The two of us will look like a scene out of some astronaut movie.
Exactly.
Well, hopefully we will. We'll see what happens. You too. Appreciate it, Katie. Yeah. Take care.
All right, take care.